Oh hey guys, I'm Bonefoot, and if I had to choose one piece of any sort of entertainment media as my favorite, it would undoubtedly be the Tanoshi Moomin Ikka anime series, or more specifically the finished up version of that. And today I'm here to talk about, as far as I know, the only console game based on that show that came out in Europe, which is this. Moomin's Tale for the Game Boy Color. I don't have the box or manual for this, I'll explain why in a bit, but I do have the Japanese release complete in the box, which is pretty neat. Now there are also some bad educational Moomin games like this one, but I'm not counting those. And then there was this game called Moomin Tani no Okurimono, also based on the anime, but this was unfortunately only ever released in Japan. I'm currently in the process of playing through this game because it's awesome, and also because I'm going to make a video about it. You can click here to see that video once it's done, but I'll also link to it at the end of this video. Now before I dive into this game, I wanna give you a brief introduction to Moomins in general. This game was never released in the US, nor was the anime or almost anything else Moomins related. So I imagine a decent portion of people who will watch this video are not actually familiar with them. Don't worry, this will only take a minute. And go! In the beginning there was a Finnish author named Tove Jansson. She wrote 9 bestseller children's fantasy books, a highly successful comic strip and multiple picture books about these curious creatures called Moomins who have lots of adventures with their friends. The popularity of the books and the comic strips spawned a slew of TV shows all around the world starting from the late 1950s. But it wasn't until 1990 that things really shifted into high gear when the third Moomin anime Tanoshi Moomin Ikka started airing in Japan. The series became an instant hit and in the following years was dubbed and sold to more than 60 different countries. This helped kickstart a time period in multiple countries, but mostly in Finland and Japan, called the Moomin boom, where the Moomins skyrocketed in popularity. The Moomin brand was plastered into every product known to man. The largest airline in Finland put the characters on their planes, new Moomin comic books were made, and in the peak of it all in 1993 even a Moomin theme park, Moomin World, was opened up in Naantali, Finland. During this time even Walt Disney tried multiple times to buy the rights to the Moomin brand, but Tove Jansson refused, wanting to keep the rights in her family, where they still lie with her niece to this day, 14 years after Tove's passing. In Finland, reruns of the series have been playing non-stop ever since its first airing over 2 decades ago, and the popularity of the Moomins has never died down. That was my first time using a green screen. I think it turned out pretty okay. But anyways, now that we're all Moomin experts, let me start talking about Moomin's Tale. The game was released in 1999 and it was developed by Sunsoft, a developer who had its heyday during the NES era, making awesome games like Batman, Blaster Master, and Euphoria the Saga, another Sunsoft game I want to talk about in the future. Moomin's Tale is a pretty rare Game Boy Color game. At the time I'm posting this video, there isn't a single other review of it on YouTube, just a few emulated gameplay videos. Loose copies of the game have been selling anywhere between $50 and a little over $100. I have no idea what it would go for complete in the box, because none have been listed or sold on eBay in the last few months, hence why I only have the loose cards. I was pretty excited going into this game. I was about to play the only console Moomin game ever released in Europe for the first time, so let's jump right in and see what I saw. Oh my god, I've been so stoked to play this. So this is the intro screen. Looks pretty good visually, but the music is not from Moomins. And unfortunately that is the case for the rest of the game as well. Not a single song from the anime is present. It's all original music. The music isn't horrible, it's actually pretty decent, but this game was based on an anime that had an incredibly memorable soundtrack, so I was pretty disappointed. I would have loved to have heard chiptuned versions of those tracks. When you hit start, you're greeted with a cutscene explaining the story for the first level. The sprite work on the cutscenes is really spot on with the anime, it's awesome to see on the Game Boy Color. So, in level 1 you're tasked with finding Moomin Mama's important memory-filled handkerchief that blew away in the wind. Now this quest, however thin and to the point it is, perplexes me. A handkerchief? Moomin Mama never has an important handkerchief in the show. Everyone knows it's her iconic handbag that she treasures. And there's even an episode where it goes missing and everyone goes out looking for it. Why miss out on such an obvious and easy way to directly connect this quest with the source material? It makes no sense to me. Let's see what the gameplay is like. I have no idea what this game is even. I think it's a platformer. Okay, so the game is indeed a platformer. Once again, there's some nice and big sprite work on Moomin Troll. He's the only controllable character in the game, which is a little bit of a shame. It would have been nice to be able to play as the other main characters from the show as well, but let's not be too demanding. In level 1, your objective is to move from left to right while collecting all the question orbs in your current area. Once you've collected them all, you advance to the next area and repeat. There are enemies and other hazards to avoid or sometimes use as jumping platforms, although getting hit is pretty funny too. You lose some health and Moomin Troll gives you this angrily disappointed look and just sits there until you press a button. If you do nothing, he just keeps sitting there staring you down. Not even enemies can hurt or distract him while he's doing it. He's pissed off and doesn't give a crap. Later in the game this can actually be used to your advantage in harder areas. On top of enemies there are also mushroom trampolines, Tarzan vines, and climbable trees to help you traverse the level. It's all very straightforward and basic platforming. The controls are really good. Jumping and moving around feels very snappy. So what does the B button do, you ask? It's the eat button. Every time you collect a question orb, a random fruit gets added to your inventory, which you can see on the bottom right of the screen. You can stock up on a maximum of 6 fruit at a time, and pressing the B button makes you eat the latest fruit you gathered. All the different fruit restore a specific amount of health, and a few of them, like the apples and lemons, have an added bonus of making Moomin Troll able to run, which becomes very helpful in later levels. The next time you get hit though, it's back to walking again. When you reach area 1-9, you'll face the first boss of the game. A grasshopper? What? There was no reason to have any generic bosses like this. The show is full of bad guys to choose from. The Lady of the Cold, the Ant Lion, and the Witch are just a few that come to mind. I would say the Croak too, but she actually is in the game, thank goodness. She's one of the only 2 bosses that are straight from the show, but even with her they of course had to screw it up somehow. Being the Moomin nerd that I am, I can't let their depiction of the Croak slide. In level 3 where she's the boss, your quest is to find a hand organ that has gone missing in the forest because it's needed for a party. Another quest, by the way, that has nothing to do with the show. But anyways, you go deep into the forest and find the Croak holding the hand organ in her hands, and the boss fight begins. To beat her, you need to catch the musical notes coming from her playing the hand organ. Every time you catch one, her health goes down a bit, and every time you miss one, your health goes down a bit. The boss fight itself is pretty fun, but it makes no sense whatsoever to anyone who knows anything about the Croak. In the show, she's definitely the most infamous and scary monster that every kid was scared of, but in truth, she's just a lonely and misunderstood creature living alone in the woods that never tries to harm anyone. Although she does have a pretty deadly attribute to her, which is that she's freezing cold. Anywhere she goes, everything around her freezes and she leaves an ice trail under her feet. Anything she touches gets frozen solid in an instant, hence why her playing a hand organ is in no way possible. Let alone the fact that the forest is not frosted. I went on a bit of a tangent there, let's go back to the grasshopper fight. It's laughably easy, you can just trampoline on its head until it dies, but it is the first boss, so I'll let that pass. The first quest doesn't end quite yet though, there's still one more regular area, and then at the end of that you come across Stinky, who spotted the handkerchief on top of a tall tree, and he insists it's his. So you have to compete against Stinky in a race to see who can climb the tree fastest. This is done in a minigame where you mash the A and B buttons alternately as fast as you can. Ah! Stinky, you suck. And smell. There are a few different types of minigames sprinkled throughout the game, which is a nice change of pace. This finally brings us to the end of the first level. The handkerchief is safe and we triumphantly return home to a delicious dinner. Hurrah! When moving on to the next level, you'll notice something has changed. Oh, cool! 3D! This is pretty neat, but soon you'll realize that it's just an overworld type of thing. There are no hazards and you only use it to choose which of the available caves you want to go in, and then the game goes back to the side-scrolling view, which is still kinda cool. Level 2 is basically a maze level, you need to find the correct caves and paths to proceed, and sometimes failing a jump can even send you back quite a ways, which can be annoying, but it's all in the name of the game. Gotta deal with it. Oh, damn it, no! No! Now I gotta... God damn it. Now let's jump right to level 4, the secret of the Phantom Ship, where a ghost ship is sailing near Moomin Valley and Moomin Troll decides out of pure curiosity to get on board and investigate it. There is an episode in the anime with a ghost ship, no one ever gets on it, but that's close enough, I'll give them a pass on this one. This level is interesting because it introduces another new camera perspective. Whoa! Holy crap, that's cool. But that's not all, the whole level is a pretty neatly designed puzzle. In one of the rooms there's a globe, if you stand next to it, stars come out and transform you into different things. What is that? Oh god! I'm a plant! What the shit? There is some transformation stuff in the show, but that was always with the magician and his hat, nothing like this. But nonetheless, this is pretty fun gameplay wise. You can turn into a plant that can jump higher, get shrunk down to a mini Moomin, or turn invisible. There are 12 rooms on this ship, some that are locked, and each one requires you to be in specific form to pass the platforming puzzles. You find keys in the rooms to open the locked doors, eventually leading you to open the bus door back on the deck. It's a really fun level and quite different from any of the others. These are the 3 different types of levels they have in the game, some are used more times than others. Most levels also have their own unique location that are all straight from the show, and all levels introduce some new enemies or hazards and have a boss fight near the end. All these different variables really keep things fresh. Now there's one more moment in the game I want to talk about that was by far both my single most favorite and infuriating thing about this whole game, which was the other boss fight outside of the grove that was based on a character from the show. I wouldn't in a million years have guessed that I'd get to see this character in the game. There are quite a few things in the game that are just so outside of the realm of the show, but this is one that I'd most like to believe as being completely canon with the anime's universe. Oh, it's the The boss is the dragon from episode 12 of the show called The Last Dragon on Earth. In the episode there's been a heavy rain in Moomin Valley and Moomin Troll goes out to catch a crab he thought he saw in a puddle. He manages to catch it, but upon closer inspection he realizes it's a goddamn baby dragon. He decides to keep it, but his constant pampering and pestering makes the dragon not like him or anyone else in the Moomin house. The only person it likes is the ever calm Snufkin. Moomin Troll sadly decides to release the dragon and it of course finds its way to Snufkin and won't leave him alone. Knowing that Moomin Troll loves the dragon and is sad about it not liking him, Snufkin decides no matter how fun it would be to keep it, it's best for everyone to send it away. He gives all the fish he's catched to a fisherman who is going on a long fishing trip, and as a favor asks him to take the dragon as far as he possibly can, preferably to a place with lots of flies for the dragon to eat. And that is the last you ever see of it in the series. It always left me wondering what happened to that dragon. Did it survive wherever that fisherman took it? And where did it go from there? And now, decades later, I finally got to see it again. All grown up and looking good, living inside a mountain. It was super cool to me and I give the developers a whole lot of kudos for doing that. Good stuff. But of course this beautiful reunion doesn't last long, because the second the dragon wakes up, it starts shooting fireballs at Moomin Troll and you have to beat its ass because it's a boss fight. And this is where the infuriating part comes in. The fight is one of the most annoying things I've had to deal with in a game in quite a while. I'm almost 100% certain that the dragon has no pattern whatsoever. Maybe he has, but I can't for the life of me see it. There is no fucking pattern! It constantly shoots fireballs, but sometimes after a fireball takes about a second and a half long break, and that's when you're supposed to jump on its head and deal a minuscule amount of damage. But as far as I can tell, there is no way to know when it's about to take that break. You have to go in for the kill the second you've touched the fireball so you can jump on it during that small break, but if it happens that it's not taking a break that time, there is no way to avoid getting hit by the next fireball. So the only thing you can do is keep taking leaps of faith at it and hope it doesn't smoke your ass, which is what it'll most certainly do most of the time. Come on, Moomin, you can do it. Fuck. It literally took me an hour to beat it, because every time you lose all your lives, which in this game is the amount of fruit you have on you when you enter the boss fight, you have to start all the way from the beginning of the level, and this is one of those long overworld maze levels. By the end I was seething in frustration, yelling at the screen and ready to give up at any second, but then finally luck was on my side and I beat it. Okay, one more hit. One more fucking hit. Yes! Oh my god. That's about all I have to say about Moomin's Tale. It's a fairly basic platformer and overall I really enjoyed it. The platforming and controls feel great and there's a lot of gameplay variety with the maze levels, puzzle solving, mini games, boss battles and all that. The difficulty is from easy to average, but it does have some challenging parts. The game is only about 2.5 to 4 hours long, depending on your skills and how lucky you get with that dragon boss, but they pack that playtime full of so much variety which increases the replay value tremendously. I've played through the game 3 times already and it's just as much fun every time. The presentation visually now, I haven't played many Game Boy Color games. I begged my parents for one when I was a kid solely so I could play the Pokemon games, but I think the game looks brilliant on the handheld, with the nice big sprites, the animation, the cutscenes, the sometimes scrolling backgrounds and all the different camera perspectives. Now in terms of it being a Moomin game, there is sometimes this odd disconnect with the show with some of the generic bosses, the quests, and the lack of music from the anime is a big shame, but I think overall they succeeded in making it feel like a Moomin game. Most quests, even if they aren't straight from the show, have a lot of similarities with events that do happen in the show. The cutscenes include a wide selection of the large cast and all the locations featured in the game are straight from the show. So I can easily recommend this game to both platformer fans and Moomin fans. The price is the only iffy thing. Perhaps people who aren't too familiar with Moomins wouldn't think it was worth it. But I think Moomin fans will find it a fun game to own and pick up and play through every now and then. It is the only proper Moomin game released here in the West, so I think that counts for something as well. Now let me take a moment to talk a little bit about the Japanese version. The reason I bought it was because I love the Moomins and I'm a game collector, so I wanted to have it. I think the box looks awesome and the art on there is 100 times better than on the European version. I didn't actually mean to play it. I assumed it was the same game but with Japanese text, but holy crap was I wrong. After having already planned most of this video, I thought I'd pop it in for a second to see if there were any other little differences, and then this intro came up. Meet the Moomins and join the adventure. Why didn't they have that in the PAL version? It's already in English. Then I was in the main menu and thought, okay, this looks the same. But then, Snufkin! It was at this point I realized I had to start recording and play through the whole game. There are so many differences between the versions, or rather the PAL game is a very cut down version of the Japanese game. I could talk about it for another 10 minutes, but I figured I'd just give you a quick synopsis of some of the bigger differences. Instead of being a basic from level to level platformer like the PAL game, in this one between every level you get to freely explore the Moomin house and the whole goddamn Moomin valley, and you can talk to almost every character from the show, which is incredible. I'm sure this is the reason why the PAL version lacks this feature. There is just so much dialogue text that they probably didn't think spending the time or money to translate them all was worth it. They also cut multiple different mini-games, one of which actually features the antlion I was hoping to see. All the cutscenes are longer and some even have proper animation to them instead of just moving mouths. The title screen made it look like you might be able to play as Snufkin, but it turns out he just comes with you for those overworld maze levels and gives you tips. Some of the generic bosses from the PAL version are just regular enemies that you can pass by. Then there is this freaky moment. What is that? And then when you get home, this thing is outside your window. Ah! Why? That is not from the show, it's scary. And lastly, there's an odd difference in that this version has credits at the end when you beat the game, whereas the PAL version just says the end. I guess they thought Europeans don't care seeing the developers' names, which is kinda sad. They even give special thanks to Tove Jansson's niece, Sofia Jansson, who owned the rights to the Moomins back then and still does. Those were some of the more notable changes, but there are so many just little touches that make the Japanese version a much fuller Moomin experience. There are still those generic bosses and I'm guessing the stories are largely the same, but with all the extra Moomin flavor that is in this version, they don't seem nearly as big of a deal as in the cut down PAL version. All of these additional things made the playtime over an hour longer compared to the PAL version, and that was with me fast forwarding all the Japanese text because I couldn't understand it. When I go back and replay this game in the future, I think I'll still go with the European one. It is easily the more streamlined and pick up and play friendly version of the two. The Japanese version is much more slow paced, and while it's cool exploring the Moomin Valley talking to all the different characters, I don't understand what they're saying, so that kind of defeats the purpose. But I am very glad that I got this because it is the definitive full version of the game that the developers wanted to create. I think all hardcore Moomin fans like me should get both versions, but for everyone else I think the PAL version will do just fine. And that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. I was very happy to finally get to talk about Moomins, and this will definitely not be the last time. I'm currently working on a video about this game, and even beyond that I will always have something more to talk about of the Moomins. So stay tuned for more videos, and thanks for watching. Take care. I hate you guys. You guys are assholes. Especially Kenny. I hate him the most. Come on, you know the words. Oh hey guys, I'm Bonefoot, and I'm here today to that was the wrong dialogue. La la la. Oh, I climbed into the cannon. Holy shit. That's awesome. Whee! Wow. Wait, what? That made me fail. God damn it. You can't do that. That's bullshit.